I'm Indra,
And I'm Amanda.
and we'd like to welcome you to The Messy Middle Matters. Hey, Amanda, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Indra?
I'm good. Actually, yesterday was a really good day for me, too. I went to see my friend Ashley get interviewed, and she actually said something that I think you're going to really like, it's going to set something off for you. One of the things she said in the interview was how content creation is the new resume.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I feel that deeply.
Right? I was like, Ashley, I'm like, girl, I'm like, that it hit hard. I think it hits harder for people who are working independently like you and I are, but it's still, if I was still in my corporate days, it would still hit. It would still hit.
Yeah, agreed. And one of the reasons we're doing this podcast is to create that presence, right? To create to buffer our quote resume. This is part of our portfolio of what we're doing.
Right. Because these days, a resume isn't enough. Like for most people, not for everyone, but for most people, they need to have people not only need to see your credentials and understand what you've done in that classical format of a CV or a resume. They also need to understand your thought leadership perspectives. And then there's a whole list of skills that are required for that as well. So like it's kind of insane. It's both wonderful and perplexing. It's both at the same time of what's expected, how many skills are required. The wonderful part is that it lets us showcase ourselves in new ways, and the barrier to entry for things like creating your own business or creating your own personal brand is much lower than it's ever been. But that's created an expectation that everyone has a personal brand and is writing thought leadership on the side and all this other stuff.
Right. And all of that is overwhelming.
It's overwhelming. It's really overwhelming.
I mean, like, look at LinkedIn these days. Like, everyone is posting their thought leadership. It's just post after post after post because everyone's realized that you have to have this personal brand. Like, people want to know, or, you set it as an expectation. And I think there are people who expect to know those other facets of who you are.
Right. And in this job market, I mean, I think where it plays the most for people who are on the more traditional career path, like when you're switching organizations, you need that thought leadership. Like where it was, I think a few years ago, is you would see people start writing thought leadership between jobs or as they were starting to apply for roles or start thinking about going somewhere else. Like it was a it was a if you know you know signal. um but now it's there's this expectation that you're going to do it on an ongoing basis and have your blog and have your videos and have your this and have your that, and not only do you need to have them, they need to be of a certain caliber.
Right.
Which is a whole nother everything needs a logo, everything needs a branding, everything needs a the catchphrase. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Right. And, just a callback to our feedback episode.
Mhm.
There's you put that stuff out there, right? And if it's not of a certain caliber, you get all the feedback.
100%, or it doesn't stick.
Right.
Right.
And it
I think
doesn't
that
stick and you have to like improve it. And it's become this thing that you have to do.
you have to do. And I think that the lowest stakes way to do it for folks is to like reshare with comments on LinkedIn posts from other people. So like there's ways to do it that are not um as big of a lift, but even in those, like what can I say that's novel about what Adam Grant said? Adam Grant is a very esteemed writer, academic, advisor. Like, what what do I have to add to his LinkedIn post? But I also know that if I don't add a few words before I repost his thing, it's not going to hit the feed in the same way. And it's not going to get attributed to me and associate itself with my professional brand. Like,
I know there are so many things. It's funny you brought up that example because yeah, there are so many things that I want to share, and then
yeah.
I go through that thought process, and I'm just like, I don't have anything to say other than like, yeah, what Adam said.
And that's when I go back and I go repost without comments. I'm like, I got nothing. I got nothing, but I want more people to see this. I'm out. I'm out.
Right, right. I'm sharing it because I want people to see it.
I want people to see it. And I agree with him. But like, again, I also know because you need to understand the algorithms of every darn platform that's out there. Like Threads algorithm, TikTok's algorithm, Instagram's algorithm, LinkedIn's algorithm. Like they're all different.
And they're all different and they're all constantly changing. And again, back to the word overwhelming.
Different form factors, 100%.
Yeah.
Like which dimensions am I choosing? Who am I biasing myself towards? It's insane. It's insane.
Right. Is this professional enough to post on LinkedIn?
I swear. But we are all in a world where there is some level of expectation for most professionals these days to market themselves, to constantly market themselves and constantly be adding to the conversation. And, I appreciate the irony of having started a podcast with you and about what I'm about to say. I hate listening to myself talk. I love having conversations, which is why when I was like, I want to do a podcast, I'm like, I need to find someone. I'm so glad that you're my partner in this. Because I love dialoguing, but like listening to myself talk which is a lot of what social can be.
Oh, same. I mean, the first few episodes of our podcast, listening to myself talk, I was just like, oh, I don't like it. I hope other people do, but I for one cannot stand it.
Well, and they do, This is the good news. What?
Yeah.
This is the good news. But the thing is, like, it's also like listening to yourself talk. I had to get used to it because we're doing this on a bootstrap budget, right? We're bootstrapping it, and I'm editing the podcast. I'm listening to the podcast. I've learned how to mix podcasts. I've learned how to, and I'm not saying I'm doing it perfectly, folks, but I'm like, with every episode, I hope it gets a little bit better. But mixing and editing and mastering and syncing the video from like after I've mastered the audio, making sure I sync it to the video, and then figuring out how to do the pre-roll and the post-roll and the clips and the conversations we had with the person who created our intro music on Fiverr. Like that's a lot of skills. That's a lot of skills that I never thought that I would have that have not been relevant to my job ever. But I'm glad they have them, and we can talk about the payoff of these skills, how they paid off even already for me. But like beyond the podcast, but like it's a lot.
Yeah, you didn't even in that list. I don't think you even touched on the social media part of it.
No, that's a whole nother thing.
That's a
whole
whole,
nother thing.
and it's like, oh, I now understand why a social media, manager is its own job.
It's its own job, and like it's pretty wild, and um, it's wild. It's
Yeah.
wild, but it's all, and the thing is that it's all required to be successful. We'll have some celebrations as we hit the milestones, and y'all will see them on LinkedIn and Insta and whatever, because we have some really good milestones that are coming up as far as the podcast goes. But to hit those milestones, you need to do it of a caliber that is, like it's got to be top notch because our expectations are so high as consumers of information these days.
Oh, totally. It's, if it's not of that caliber, it's so easy to just scroll by and go on to the next thing. Like, what's the hook, right? And we're constantly thinking about this.
Right. It's pretty wild. But beyond I could talk for days about the podcast stuff, and I probably will create some sort of like seminar, webinar, real virtual someday for people who are thinking of doing it. Because while we're still in these earliest days and can remember all the bumps and bruises, I want to make sure we get it down for someone who wants to go down that route. But like, let's talk about like some of the other pieces of it beyond, recording a pod, because, I do encourage others to do it. We do need more diverse voices as part of the conversation, the larger conversation about work, among other things. But we think about the other avenues for people to do their personal branding and everything else. Like, let's talk about blogging. Let's talk about blogging, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, it's blogging. It's writing,
It's
right?
writing.
It's having good writing skills.
Yeah.
And having good like public speaking skill. We're doing a podcast, but this is public speaking. We're speaking in public. And so it's just having those communication skills honed is super important, because if you're not clear in what you're saying, and it's not just if you're not clear, but it's if you're not clear and you don't have your personal touch on it, what makes people, want to stop and read or listen to your thing?
Why listen? Like, you need to give them the why. You need to, like, what's in it for them? It needs to be at the top. There needs to be something. And that's hard to do. Like, I'm just really thinking about like my journey. I'm not as consistent with writing as I would like to be. At this particular moment, I'm giving myself a goal. We'll see if we hit it or not. I'm not gonna share it right now. But like, if I think about my writing journey, it's, as I've dabbled, like, so most of my historical posts have been on Medium. I'm making the switch to Substack in the not too distant future. But the Medium posts, like, whenever I had something that I really wanted to share with the world, that's how I did it. It wasn't always easy though, because when you work for a company, especially a large corporation, there are there are rules around what you are and aren't allowed to talk about, which can be really, really hard to navigate around and still create your own personal brand.
Yeah. You mentioned Substack. I've started writing on Substack. I've given
Yeah.
myself a goal of publishing something weekly. I was spinning my wheels a bit to find my niche, right? Like
Hmm.
what's in it for me. And I landed on the what's in it for me, or what's in it for them, is they get to know me better.
Yeah.
Like they get to know me better as a person. I'm not writing only about work related topics.
Yeah.
I'm writing about like, one of my recent posts was about random things that I thought about during my birthday week.
Yeah. And I think that's a really great way for someone who's not in a position where they can post a lot because of all those constraints and requirements of their current role. Like, practice doing the stuff that you love. Like, or like, let's say you're into D&D, write a D&D thing, like, or, if you have thoughts on, like, what was it? Recently, Apple made announcements around their new design system. I don't know if it's a design system. They've redesigned everything, but like, if you have thoughts on that, and maybe you don't hit the publish button. Maybe you don't, because you're not allowed to for a particular topic, but practicing how to tell those stories. I don't know who said it recently that I heard, but like, by our nature, human beings are storytellers, right? Um, and like, learning and remembering and having the chance to practice the skills of telling stories is really hard. I mean, I've watched my communication skills improve over the past episodes. Like, with each and every single episode, I'm more clear, I'm more concise. I find my words more quickly. I speak a little more slowly. I do still speak quickly. I'm not delusional on how quickly I speak, but I enunciate better. I still swallow the ends of words, but I'm getting better. But you need to go to the gym and practice these things so that you can tap into them when you do need to, like when you are called on to be part of a panel discussion. You'll already have some thoughts on how you might communicate that out with somebody else, right?
Yeah. I was smiling the entire time you were saying that, because I wasn't sure if we were going there, right? But of course, it comes back to a common theme on all of our podcast episodes of like you just need to practice doing the thing.
Life is one big giant practice who session. Who are we kidding?
Right.
Who are we kidding? We're
Yeah,
never going to get
and I
anything
think
perfectly.
Yeah. And I think, writing a blog or just like writing in your journal, practicing writing, practicing your communication skills, practicing your soft skills, like just the art of practicing will just make you better going to the, it is like going to the gym.
Yeah. And if getting something done on paper is a little too hard, practice just having the conversations and in your mind, pretend like you're being interviewed on a podcast, pretend like you're in a panel discussion, pretend, and that'll give you something. Another thing where when I don't know where to start with a conversation, and I know the topic, I know the constraints, I know the whatever, I actually feed it into an AI. I feed it into an AI and I like let it come back to me. I'm like, this is what I'm thinking. These are the things. And it gives me she uses a different word, but Anne Lamott, she has this concept in writing where you just get out your terrible first draft. Her word starts with an S. You can figure out what it is. I can't say it
Mhm.
and still say safe for work, but like just get out your terrible first draft and then take it from there. But like getting something onto the page, so to speak, is the most important step in the writing process. And so to me, when I'm just stuck with something, I'll feed something in and I'll let the AI give me the terrible first draft. Me like, okay, I'm like, how do I even begin? And then that gives me something to react to, which is always really nice.
Yeah. Or, I'll do it's not the opposite thing, but I'll do the different thing of I have my terrible first draft. I put it, I feed it into the AI tool of choice. And I'm like, what do you think? Like where can I improve here? Right. Like
Yeah.
here's the message that I want to drive home. Like, are the words that I wrote down um good enough in telling that story, in delivering that message?
I love that. I love using AI as my feedback tool. Like,
Yeah.
hey, what points are you getting across from this? What's your takeaway from this? It inevitably then gives me a second draft whether I asked for it or not.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm
And,
like, I did not ask for that.
right. It's like that was good, but here's something that's better. And I'm just like, no, that's not my words anymore.
No, it's not my words anymore. I don't want your draft, but thank you for the first part.
Right. Thanks for the first part and for catching my spelling mistakes. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. But it is we all need to practice these things. The other thing that I think that we all need to start thinking about, if you are starting to think about like panel discussions or interviews or whatever it might be, and it still sneaks up on me every single time, and I always write it from scratch. You would think I do have a bank of them, but none of them make me happy at any given moment in time. Is your personal bio for being on that panel discussion, your personal bio for being part of that podcast, your personal bio for being on that panel discussion at work, at the town hall. Like starting to think through like what is the thing that I would want people to talk about? Like how would I want to be explained to somebody else? It's your
Right.
elevator pitch, but somebody else is doing the pitching, right?
Right. Or it's your own elevator pitch, right?
Right.
It's like if you are invited to speak at a conference, they're going to publish the conference schedule with your event, with your picture, with something about you. What is that
Yeah.
something about you?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and let's be clear, this is additional labor that's not in your job description. It's nothing you signed up for. It's not your core competency in most cases, or at least parts of it won't be. Maybe you're great at writing, but like in this world that seems to need to have video these days, like, all right, I got to worry about lighting and my wind. And like, I was joking. I'm like, I feel like Mariah Carey, like, where's my wind? Where's my light? um, but there will inevitably be something. And, I'd say be as gentle with yourself as you can. Set realistic goals and expectations. Like I have a very high bar for myself. It's a stupidly high bar. But do what you can. Do what you can when you can. But the more you can be ahead of it, or the more you can be prepared to respond to it when the ask or opportunity hits, the better off you're going to be. So do that practicing when and where you can.
Yeah, the practice is so essential. And I think the need to market yourself has always existed. I
Sure.
think it's just existing in this overdrive state nowadays.
Exactly. Like that's kind of what Ashley was saying when she said this. She responded to this question like, yeah, communication or no content is the new resume. It's like
Right.
it's and you
It's just
can't
you're everywhere, or you
and you
can be everywhere.
and you can't just have content, to be very, very clear. You also need your resume or your one pager or whatever, like depending on what you're trying to do, if you're running your own business or if you're there, but like they're both kind of they're or people need to at least be able to see the potential for it,
Yeah.
right? If you're not there for publishing it. So, which
Yeah.
is
And
yeah, go ahead.
you said content, right?
Hmm.
Like depending on what, you know, what your brand is, coming up with the content is its own thing.
It is. I mean, and like I hadn't thought of this prior to now, but like like if I'm thinking about a software engineer, maybe it's contributing to conversations on Git, right? Like and adding perspectives there, right? I am not a super Git user, so like y'all have some grace with me as I'm talking about things. But there could be other things, or like if I'm thinking about the design ops community that I'm a part of, like being an active member in the conversation on Slack. Maybe it's that, right? Or maybe it's somebody who shows up to maybe it's being the person who shows up to the meetups that happen for your particular career industry, whether they're live or virtual. Like all of that stuff builds and builds and builds. And that is part of it and part of the creating your identity. So I don't want anyone to feel like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. There's too much. Like I've already got so much pressure. I can't do it. There's lots and lots of different ways to do this. We've been just talking about some of the ones that we've been facing the most lately. It could be really just being a member of your community, an active part of the community that is beyond your immediate organization. It could be the active community of your company or the community of your craft or a community of whatever.
Yeah. It's your presence, whether online or in real life, right? And it's the presence that others can see.
It needs to be visible. It can't be in
Yeah.
the shadows as much anymore. I think that's where, if we're thinking about the old fashioned times, which are not that long ago, like you'd give your resume, and even in the LinkedIn days before content was king, right? And whatever version we're living right now, but like your LinkedIn was a version of your resume. You'd go to the interview, you'd explain it, right?
Right.
And it's just a different narrative, and yeah, it's just a different way of doing
Yeah, in the old fashioned ways, right? You
it.
have your resume, you get invited to an interview, your interview is your marketing opportunity, and
It's your
like that
pitch.
was it.
That was it. And now there's not only like you have to do all this stuff before you even apply potential. I mean, again, I'm talking in hyperbole here, folks, but like you do all this stuff before you apply, you get yourself a cover letter. Yeah, like the expectations can be so overwhelming and high. You go to the interview, you do the interview, you got to do a mock exercise, you got to like like the loop, then you finish it, and then on your first day of work you're expected to post on LinkedIn with this like pre-crafted email that you're supposed to make yourself, or a pre-crafted post that goes on LinkedIn with your, yay, I'm so excited to be part of company ABC. Like take what you can, do what you can, but know that you're not in it alone. There's so many resources out there that you can like tap into. Like I'll link in show notes to Anne Lamott's book Bird by Bird, which is about writing, and that's really she's just got a really interesting approach about just generally writing. But you can go to TikTok and find ways to find videos on that stuff. You can go to Insta, do the same thing, LinkedIn, do the same thing, YouTube, do the same thing. Like just find the different ways to just at least get familiar with it so that you're ready when you need to tap into it. I would say that would be, in my mind's eye, the baseline expectation or the baseline hope for everyone listening. Expectation means that I'm going to follow up with y'all. Y'all are adults. Y'all get to decide what you do and don't. You can give me the middle finger, so to speak. That's up to you. But like, I would say that to me is like I
The
would call
takeaway.
it, yeah,
Yeah, the takeaway from all of this, right? Of realizing the environment that we're in right now, the
yeah,
digital age or whatever you want to call it,
yeah.
where there's LinkedIn, there's TikTok, there's Instagram, there's Substack, there's there's all of these, there's podcast platforms, there's all of these different avenues where you are maybe expected to exist. At a minimum, I would
Yeah.
say, unfortunately, baseline, you should have a LinkedIn profile, right?
Okay. Yes. That's a requirement, I think, today. When I don't see someone's
Right.
LinkedIn profile and it's they're networking, I'm like, who are you?
Right. I'm like, who
are
are
you?
you? Who are you? Do you even exist?
Right. I'm like, you're standing in front of me, but like, I don't believe you're a human right now.
Right. Yeah, because as we were talking about, the online presence and like it is overwhelming, and we're not saying that you have to like go out and create all these accounts and like post all this content
Don't do that right
today.
away. Don't do that
Yeah,
all. No.
it's too much. But as we were talking about that, I just thought of, when I met someone at a networking event,
Yeah.
or like when I was reviewing a resume and I want to
Yeah.
know more, I'll go to LinkedIn and be like, who is this person?
Who is this
And
person?
sometimes their profile wouldn't exist, or I couldn't find them on LinkedIn. And I'm like, really?
Or their profile exists and it's just their headshot and no experience. Like, fill that thing out. You've got a resume, drop in the stuff, make sure it matches, have a decent headshot. You can do them yourself using, like, our smartphones these days have great cameras. Do your best on one of those. If you work enough, workplaces sometimes offer headshot days. Get a headshot, and if all else fails, you can AI. I don't recommend this, but like, I've seen people do it. They use AI to generate off of a bunch of casual shots.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think it's just, it's practicing. It's one, putting yourself out there
Yeah,
at a minimum, like
at a
LinkedIn
minimum,
profile.
LinkedIn.
I think that's like the safest social media platform, right? Like you don't want potential employers or like potential clients to maybe go into deep into your personal socials, but like LinkedIn,
LinkedIn.
professional.
Well, and the LinkedIn keeps them from digging across all the rest of them.
Right.
So I think that that's a really good one. And I still stand by, pay attention to the ecosystem, pay attention to what's going on, so that you're not surprised, or at least the things exist. I'd
Right.
say that's an important skill. And then, when the time comes, dip into what you need to, but set realistic, achievable expectations for yourself at that moment in time, because nobody needs to be in a spiral because, oh my God, now I need to content create. Oh my God, now I don't like, okay, how much time does it take you, would you guess, Amanda, to create one blog post for the week?
Depends on what I'm writing about,
Yeah, pick a
but
number.
a
Yeah.
few hours.
Few hours. And not everyone has that, right? So give yourself grace. Heart a few things or whatever. Like, you can do the idea, you can do the clap. There's all the options of the LinkedIn liking of things, right?
Right.
Do a little bit of that, do a little bit of reposting, and that'll show up as part of your profile. And then when you do have something to share, I think this would be the third piece. When you do have something to share, add it to your LinkedIn profile. I have one of my weirdest things that's on my LinkedIn profile. I still have it because it makes me crack up. I've over the course of my career, I've been very good at getting the quarterly awards of like, you're the best of, like, here's a pat on the back trophies, right? I created one for the team that I was supporting at WeWork. It was called the Red Tech Silver Hard Hat Award, and they also awarded it to me. Whenever you get those things and you can add them to your profile, add them. Add them when you have something. When you are featured in a panel discussion, add that. Like, those are
Yeah.
the easy. Those are easy. It was done for you already. Add it to your LinkedIn profile, and it'll just build and build and build over time. And then one day you might be a full-time content creator. Who the heck knows if that's the career path that's meant for you? But you don't need to do that.
Yeah, I'm smiling because as you were saying that, I thought of my own LinkedIn profile, and I added to, like the tagline,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, the
that I'm
tagline. Yes.
yeah, the tagline that I'm co-host of the Messy Middle Matters.
Play with your tagline. That thing
Mhm.
is fun to play with. I mean, and
Yeah.
test and learn. See what goes. I used to have a really steady one, and I've been like messing with it a lot lately. That's actually a fun place to like, what's my identity? Because that's the first thing people see on the search results.
Right. Right. They see your name and then they see your tagline.
Yeah.
And, back when LinkedIn was only a version of your resume,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Before all the content creation, social feed
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Most people's taglines were just their most recent job title.
Yeah.
And now it's like lots and lots of characters of all the roles of like thought leader, storyteller.
I think you only get 200 characters. So you got to get really tight on that. It reminds me of the early
Right.
days of Twitter, right? Like when you'd have to like, you're like, got to be tight with your mind. But if you don't know what to do, use an AI to give you some ideas. What it
Yeah.
gives you back might be not overly useful as is, but it could light the spark for you to come up with the one you need.
Right. It helps you brainstorm.
It
It's
helps
a
brainstorm.
sparring partner.
This is a good sparring partner. Okay, so what were our takeaways? Our takeaways were make sure you have a LinkedIn profile. Um, Pay attention to what's going on in the ecosystem. And then what was the third one? Oh gosh, I had a third one.
Yeah, we had a third one and it
If we just said it.
we'll go back to the notes.
We'll go back, but there were three, and I'll make sure that it's in the show notes, and we'll probably have some sort of graphic that we create with it. But it's I'll make sure it's in the overlay of the video. I'll add the third one. We'll make a nice little list. But keep it easy, keep it achievable, keep it what you can do. Maybe that was the last one. Do what you
Yeah,
can.
like
Oh,
don't
that
pick
was the third one.
that.
Okay, I got them. Make sure you have a LinkedIn profile. Pay attention to the ecosystem. And when you have accomplishments and things you can add to your LinkedIn profile, add them.
Yes. Yes. And fourth, which should really be the first, be kind to yourself.
Yes.
Be kind. Yeah. Be
That is
kind.
that's number one on the list for everything. Give yourself grace. Give
Yeah.
yourself grace.
Because it is a lot. Like
A lot.
we talked about all of this and I don't want to come off as like you have to do all of these things, but we've learned to do all of these things and we're not saying that like all of this is necessary. We're recognizing how much stuff it is
How much
and how
stuff it
much
is.
time and how much energy and how much just like mental capacity you need to make it content creation your resume.
And it's not, yeah, and it's not for everyone. It's not realistic. It's not realistic. The expectations people have are not realistic. So when you don't meet those expectations, give yourself grace.
Right,
Give
give
yourself
yourself
grace.
grace. Like just remember that it's all practice and just try to practice as much as you can.
Yes. I love it. That's a perfect place for us to wrap the conversation. Amanda, yet another thoughtful conversation that we get to have. Hopefully, our listeners got something out of this, got a little commiseration, maybe some tips and tricks they can use. And so I hope that everyone joins us next time when we cover another topic from the messy middle. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for taking time with us in the messy middle. Word of mouth remains most powerful way for people to find us. If this episode sparked something for you, we'd love it if you'd subscribe to the podcast on your favorite app, download a few episodes, and share it with someone else who's navigating the in-between. Do you have ideas for future episodes or topics you'd like us to explore? You can find our feedback form at themessymiddlematters.com or in the show notes. Thank you for joining us on this journey. This work is better when we do it together. Until next time.